Hi everyone, and this is the second part of the lesson. Had a little technical issue. I'm going to finish up the two examples of solving the quadratics by completing the square. So we're going to combine everything here. We're going to follow the first 5 steps here are just actually factoring into by completing the square or putting it into vertex form. And the last 3 are actually solving for our x values. So let's begin. So first we're going to take the b and divide by 2. So here our b value is 2. So we're going to divide that by 2, which is 1. Okay. And the second step is we're going to square this number, which becomes a new c. So 1 to the second power is just 1. So step 3. We're going to rewrite the equation, adding that 1, that new c value, in this next to the bx, and we're subtracting it from our old c value. So we're going to have x squared plus 2x. Our new c is 1. We're going to have our old c again, which is negative 3. And then subtracting the new c, which is, we're going to put the minus 1 here, and I'm going to keep that equal 0. Okay. Next, we're going to combine the first 3. We're going to factor the first 3 terms into a binomial squared. So we're going to take this and make it a binomial squared. So remember, you use the value when you the b divided by 2 is the value in the binomial. So it's going to be x plus 1 squared. Okay, so that's step 4. So this is 4/5. And then we just combine negative 3 and minus 1, which is negative 4, equals to 0. Okay, next. Now we have it in vertex form. So we know our vertex, just as a side note, is 1, negative 4. Okay. Now let's move on to actually solving for x. It's just a side note of what we learned in the last lesson. Okay. 6. Use inverse operations to move the constant on the other side of the equation. So remember, the constant is just a plain number by itself. So the number here that's constant is a negative 4. So since this is a negative 4, we're going to add it to both sides because we're looking to get that x by itself. So you have the x plus 1 squared equals to now positive 4. Now, what did we say earlier about getting rid of the exponent of 2 is we take the square root of both sides. So when we take the square root of x plus 1 to the second power, remember, it's the inverse of squaring it, so we get rid of the exponent. So we're left with x plus 1 equals 2. Now, the square root of 4 is positive and negative 2. So that's what I'm going to write here. Okay, so now we're going to solve for x. So what I can do now is subtract 1 on both sides. And here we get x equals to negative 1 plus and minus 2. So we could actually break this down into our 2 solutions. So one answer is going to be x equals to negative 1 plus 2. And the other one's going to be x equals to negative 1 minus 2. So our 2 solutions are going to be negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So that's one solution. And the other solution here, we actually have numbers, not square roots this time, and negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. So this is where this parabola would hit the x-axis. And if you wanted to check, you can always put this in your graphing calculator or in Desmos and check that the parabola hits at x equals 1 and negative 3. All right, let's do one more example together. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to follow the steps, so you can write the steps out and follow along. I just have to scroll it down. First thing you're going to do is take your b value and divide by 2. So our b is 6 divided by 2, and that is 3. The second step is we're going to take this 3 and raise it to the second power, which is 9. So now this is our new c. Okay, so let's rewrite our function here, our equation. So we have x squared, so this is step 3, plus 6x, and you're going to add your new c, which is 9, write your old c again, and you're going to subtract your new c at the end, equals to 0. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to factor the first 3 terms, so that is step 4. Okay, I'm going to do step 4 and 5 together, like I did in the other example. Okay, so we're going to factor the first 3 terms. So this is going to become x, and you're going to use your b divided by 2 value, which is 3. So x plus 3 squared plus 3 times 3 is 9 when you do the product sum method, and 3 plus 3 is 6. Okay, and then we just combine the 2 numbers at the end. So positive 8 minus 9 is negative 1, equals to 0. Okay. The next thing you're going to do, step 6, is you're going to add that constant over. The constant here is negative 1. It's the number by itself, right? So we're going to add 1 to both sides. So we got x plus 3 squared equals to 1. I'm going to rewrite that here. So again, to get rid of the exponent, we have to take the square root of both sides. Okay, so we're left with x plus 3 equals 2. Here we're lucky again, this is a perfect square. Okay, 1 times 1 is 1. So the square root of 1 is positive and negative 1. Next thing we're going to do is we're looking to solve for x to get it by itself. So we're going to subtract 3 on both sides. So we get x equals to negative 3 plus and minus 1. So we could break this up to solve for our 2 solutions. So one x value is going to be negative 3 plus 1, and one value is going to be negative 3 minus 1. Okay, so here, one root is going to be negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2, and negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. Okay, and that completes our lesson for today. You may need to watch it several times. If you need any other support, a different video, or need me to explain it in a different way, please let me know. I hope you guys have a great day. See you for the next lesson.